Hmm. Hi, good morning, everyone. So today we are going to touch upon another aspect of the labor market, and that is going to be related to migration patterns in the country. Now, when we go ahead and when we talk about migration in India, there are multiple questions which can be asked in exam from this point of view. The first question can be on the reasons of migration. Elaborate. So they can ask you, what are the reasons why migration takes place? Elaborate. That's the basic thing. The second important question that they can go ahead and ask you is, discuss the trends of migration over the last 3 decades. Discuss the trends of migration over the last 3 decades, in which what you will have to go ahead and do is you will have to discuss in detail from the census of India. I will be showing all of this in today's lecture, don't worry. Right? So you will be going ahead and you will be discussing the data from the census of India. Another question that can be asked from this is, they can give you a statement that women migration has been higher than male migration. Elaborate. Right? So again, we will be going ahead and we will be taking the reasons as to why women migration is more. And you can also, you would have guessed it, that women migration is usually more than male migration because of the reason of marriage, right? Especially in villages, when women get married, then they are married to different district, different state. They can be married from a rural to an urban region. So the migration can definitely go ahead and be more in women, and that is what we will be discussing with data today, right? Another important question that can be asked from this is, why have reasons of migration changed over time? Again, this is something which is very clearly visible through the census that I will be discussing, through the census data that we will be discussing today. So it has been seen that the reasons for migration earlier were very different, right? And the reasons of migration now are different. And basically, as we progressed through the census, we kept adding more reasons why people can go ahead and migrate. I will be showing that also in today's lecture. So these are few of the questions that can be asked related to migration. Trends of migration and reasons for migration are very, very important aspects that needs to be discussed in detail. Now, whenever we do such kind of lectures, right, there is presence of data in such kind of lectures, and it is important that you remember at least some numbers. कुछ सारे नहीं, but कुछ important percentage को याद रखना. It is important that you go ahead and you remember them. Okay, let's start. Migration in India, trends and characteristics. Migration in India is as old, or migration anywhere is as old as the human civilization. जब से हमने देखा है that humans have settled down, humans are migrating from one place to another. Even when we talk about the constitution of India, it gives us a right that we can go ahead and migrate from one place to another in search of a better livelihood. हम easily एक state से दूसरे state, एक district से दूसरे district migrate कर सकते हैं. It is our right. We are allowed to do so in order to go ahead and look out for a better livelihood. So migration has always been there. But what happened is that when we talk about the early phases of the history, जब हम शुरुआती time की बात करते हैं, it has been seen that there was a lack of transportation and language skills. हाँ, पहले transportation उतना अच्छा नहीं था, right? So you could only travel to from one district to another to smaller distances. Whereas now you can go ahead and you can travel for longer distances, right? Similarly, the language skills required. So if I have to specially travel from one country to another, suppose, then I would need very different language skills, right? So it has been seen that due to the lack of transportation facilities and due to the lack of language skills in the earlier period, migration, it was limited to short distances, right? So this is what has been mentioned here. Geographical barriers played an essential role in giving opportunities to migration event. Due to lack of transportation and language skills, migration was limited to short distances. तो पहले migration बहुत limited जगह तक ही possible हो पाता था, where you had similar language and where transportation was possible. But today, migration is a response to technological progress, industrialization, and urbanization. So, number one, what has happened is technology has helped us easily move from one place to another. We have the best transportation also available. There is also industrialization. माने urban area में जो opportunities हैं वो इतना अच्छी opportunities हैं. There are so good opportunities. So much money is involved that you can easily travel from one place to another, right? In search of good money, right? And urbanization. So because urban areas have better living standards, right? Therefore, migration is a more viable option that you should also go ahead and experience the better living standard. So because of technological progress, because of industrialization, because of urbanization and convenient transport, migration is better possible today. Now, this is the definition of migration given in the Indian census. The definitions should be remembered as it is. जो definition census में दी गई है, जिसके basis पे वो migration को count करते हैं, you have to remember the definition as it is. So, according to the Indian census, a person is considered migrant if his or her place of birth is different from the place where he is being enumerated. So, if today I am working in Delhi, but my place of birth is Bombay, then I am a migrant. Right? So this is the definition of being migrant. Now, between 1991 and 2001, right, it was seen that Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Delhi, and Haryana, they had large number of interstate migrants in India. So from other states, these five places, these five states were attracting a lot of citizens. They were going ahead and they were attracting a lot of migrants. So it was seen that Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Delhi, and Haryana had a lot of interstate migrants. In the recent years, numerous changes in policies on education, market, trade in India have impacted the patterns of migration. तो जैसे जैसे दो चीजें देखा गया. अगर आपकी अपनी स्टेट में बेटर एजुकेशन फैसिलिटी, बेटर मार्केट इस्टेब्लिश होगा, बेटर ट्रेड पॉसिबल हो पाएगा, तो you will stay within your state. There is no reason why you will want to migrate. You would want to migrate only and only if your state does not provide the facilities that other states are providing. So it has been seen that as there are policy changes that take place, right? As other states are also developing, As there are educational changes, trade changes, market changes taking place, migration pattern has changed. It has progressively created a gap between agriculture and non-agricultural sector, rural and urban, employment and labor turnover. तो इनमें एक गैप क्रिएट हो गया है कि एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर और नॉन एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर में गैप क्रिएट हो गया कि कहाँ पे कितना माइग्रेशन होगा, बिकॉज माइग्रेशन इज नाउ पॉसिबल एंड वी हैव सीन इन द लुइस मॉडल पीपल विल मूव फ्रॉम द प्लेस वेयर there is rural to the place where there is urban, from agricultural to non-agricultural activities, right? So a gap will be created, right? So rural and urban areas, there has been a gap, and employment facilities also. Despite the heavy burden of infrastructure in metropolitics, अब क्या है ना, there is something which is called as land density, right? Now what has happened is when more and more people, they go ahead and they come in the urban area, they come in the metropolitan, in the metropolities, in the in these states, what is going to go ahead and happen? Well, there is going to be more burden on the land. The same land will be distributed among more people, right? So therefore the word land density, land density. Land density basically goes ahead and represents how land is getting distributed among the people. So when there is going to be migration from all states to your state, then the same land gets distributed among more people, the same infrastructure gets distributed among more people, and there is heavy burden on infrastructure. Same infrastructure पे ज़्यादा burden हो जाता है, right? But still, despite having heavy infrastructure burden, it has been seen that because these metropolitan cities, metro cities, they provide a lot of economic opportunities, they have become an attracting place to attract people to come and find job, right? So even though you will be able to find smaller houses in cities, आप जाओ किसी गांव में जाओ, go in a village, look at the house there, look at the place where people are living, they are bigger houses. And you come to a city, you will get small houses but expensive houses, right? Why? Because more people are living in city. The land, the place, the space is less, right? So there is heavy burden of infrastructure, right? Still, there is an attraction towards cities. क्यों? Because people are able to go ahead and find job, better employment, better living standards, better culture in the cities. So still they have been the main force of attracting large number of migrants to find their job or employment, right? The linking with infrastructure facilities in terms of transport and housing facility in the nearby district also attract migrants to major cities. So earlier what was happening was that you were not able to go ahead and attract the migrants because of the lack of transport. कि आप सिटी तक ट्रांसपोर्ट जाओगे कैसे, और अगर चले भी जाते हो तो आप बार बार अपने घर विजिट कैसे करोगे, ट्रांसपोर्ट अच्छा नहीं था, राइट? आप वहां पे रहोगे कहाँ पे, राइट? हाउसिंग फैसिलिटीज वर नॉट देयर. बट नाउ because there is better transport available, better housing facility available, and sometimes what happens is that people don't live exactly in the center of the city. They go ahead and they live in the outskirts of the city, right? You look at Delhi also. Delhi के जो outskirts हैं, right, which are comparatively cheaper places to live, people will live there, right? So because of the linking, because there is transport available, you can go to your working place, there is housing facility available in the nearby district, therefore people are migrating to major cities. Now let us talk about some of the census data. Whenever you will be talking about census data, these numbers, as I told you, they are important and you need to memorize these numbers. So in 2011 census, 455 million person were migrants who basically were based on the place of last residence, which constituted about 37% of total population. So एक बात है यहाँ पे, I want to highlight this fact. So you can make a table. This is very interesting that in percentage terms, if I find in terms of percentage of population, migration has declined. Okay. In 1991, it was 97%. In 2001, it was 44%. Just give me 1 minute. I just want to verify the 1991 figure. Yes, it was 97%. Then in 2001, it was 44%. And in 2011, it was 37%. In terms of percentage, it has declined. But in absolute terms, it has increased. 231 million people migrated, 314 million migrated, 455 million migrated. In terms of percentage, it has declined, but in terms of numbers, it has increased. So in absolute numbers, there has been an increase in the migration, right? Okay. Now let us look at what have been the main reasons as to why migration is taking place. As a